So with the roof structure for the lumber rack now basically complete, I could actually start assembling the thing, but I think what I want to do is have the planks all fit and ready to go for the roof, just to make it a little easier and quicker when the thing's actually assembled. Cut down the number of trips up and down on a ladder to put this together. So what I'm going to do is use some of the poorer quality boards that I've got. You can see this one is full of a lot of bug holes and that type of thing. I've got a few that were cut from logs that weren't very good, and for the most part probably should have just been tossed. And I just didn't want to throw away that much wood, even though they were not in very good shape. Now this roof doesn't matter if it's not watertight, because there is going to be a tarp put over top of it in the event of rain. So having some holes in it and that kind of thing doesn't really matter. And these are fairly thick. They're getting close to 1.25 inches. So I might fool around with the planer a little bit too. I haven't used it since last year, and see how much it would take to take some of the thickness down on these. It'll generate a lot of sawdust, but that's okay. I can use the sawdust for the muddy areas up at the sawmill. So let's get started on these and see what we can figure out. So there's my roof boards, all cut to length now. So that will give me a 10-foot long roof. So the next thing I'm going to try is putting the planer up and see if I can thin these down without too much trouble. So I have virtually no experience as of yet with the planer. So this will be kind of interesting. I'm going to go over the boards with a vernier first and find the thickest one and work down from there. And we'll see how much work it takes to take some material off of these. Now they are just pine, so they should go through the planer pretty easily. So let's find out what happens. Okay, I've got sorted out what I believe is my thickest board. They're all really quite close, which is a good thing. That's kind of what I was hoping for. But it looks like the scale on the sawmill works very nicely, and I managed to work it very nicely. So I am expecting a lot of sawdust here, so I am going to be wearing a mask and having my ventilation fan over here running. But I don't have a dust collecting system at all, so that might be something that I have to look into later on. But for now, let's just see what's going to happen here. So we're about 1.125" now. I'm gonna run all the boards through at that and see what we get. Well, that's working okay, but I should have had my earmuffs on. I forgot to put them on. Well, that was certainly a fun little experiment. I did take a 1/4 inch off of all my boards, so everything's down just under 1 inch now, which reduces the weight a fair bit. And it sure made a bit of a mess in the shop, but that's okay. One of these days I will have to invest in a dust collecting system, but man, to do this kind of work you'd need one heck of a system. Anyway, we'll sweep up and I'm gonna dump my shavings up around the sawmill. Alright, so that's got my boards all to length and to thickness, so the last thing I want to do is cut a 45° on the leading edge of the top boards, just to kind of reduce the amount of gap that will be there when they're actually fastened in place. So let's give that a try with the short boards here and check and fit and just see how it looks. Well, that looks pretty good. It's going to close right up at the top. That's what I wanted. Okay, we'll cut our long boards, 2 of the long boards, and then the boards will all be ready. All right, that looks pretty good.